Thank you so much for joining us today, Jabo, for this episode of In Conversation With for Southwest Mutual. We're going to talk about 3 different questions today, as we normally do. But before we get started, if you could give our audience a little introduction to who you are and what you do, that would be great.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you very much for having me here. As you just say, my name is Jabo Butera. I'm the Managing Director and co-founder of Diversity Business Incubator. We are a community interest company based in Plymouth, but covering most of the Southwest. Our aim is to promote entrepreneurship in the BME community, which stands for Black, Asian, Minority Ethnicity, not exclusively, but predominantly. So entrepreneurship, it comes with financial literacy, it comes about economically strengthening our communities. That's our purpose. So we run different events. We have networking events. We have training sessions. We have one-to-one sessions and signposting, but also collaboration with all our partners. I live in Plymouth myself, married with 4 children, lived in city for a while. I understand the whole system, how it works and who lives who. I'm well connected, and different partners we work with within the city, including the Southwest Mutual, where I've attended few of their events. And on this session, I always raise the question, say, where is diversity in what you're doing? So yes, that's me.
Great, thank you so much for that. Yeah, we had a really interesting chat actually a couple of episodes ago, and we started talking about diversity, but we know it's a real thing that we're focusing on and that we continue to want to shine a spotlight on. So it's great to have you here talking about that as well. So our first question is, from your perspective, which barriers are holding back Black, Asian and minority ethnicity entrepreneurs in the Southwest?
To give a straight answer with just one element and saying precisely this is what is stopping, it will be difficult. It's more of a broader. Where we're talking about entrepreneurship, the question more is asked, is it a privilege? Is it an opportunity, or is it a necessity? So the barrier comes from many elements. Representation is one. Also the systemic barriers within the finances. Traditionally, a business, how you start it is, if you look at the traditional way, either it's something which was passed to you by your parents. So your parents used to have this business and they left it for you to continue with. It's a family business. You've heard about that. Most of them, the family businesses. With the BME community, it's not a family business. Most of the time, it's the first generation. Okay. So that privilege of saying it has been passed on to you does not exist most of the time. 2 is the process, how it works. When you start a business, you write your business plan, and then you take to the bank to fund it for you. And if the bank cannot finance it, at least family members will be able to support you. And even the bank itself or the financiers, they're those who give the fund, they will see what guarantees that you're going to be able to pay. So that system does not work within the BME community. Because one is, when you bring your business plan to the finance system or to the banks, they want to see your track record. They want to see your history of banking. How long you've been banking. And that is lacking because, as I say, most of the time it's first generation. I'll give a simple example myself. I don't have a track record longer than 12 years. That is long already. But for someone who was born here, someone who grew up here, they start banking when they were, 3, 4, when the parents were putting the money in there. So you have a long track record compared to someone from the BME community. The system will reject you because you don't have a long tracking record already. So those are the systemic challenge, and also representation or having a backup, someone to guarantee that you'll be able to pay for what you are acquiring as a loan. So that is the lack of the privilege as well of saying it's been passed on. I don't know if I've answered the question.
No, yeah, completely. What really strikes me is that both of those are really like at the start of an entrepreneur's journey. It's almost like those barriers are in place before they can even get going, which is, yeah, is a real perspective to consider.
Well, I think the biggest barrier most of the time I can say is that you don't have someone to look up to who have done it before.
Yeah.
I'll give a simple example here in the Southwest. I can ask anyone, can you give me an organization or a company you know owned and run by someone from the Black and Asian community and successful, something which is having a $500,000 turnover?
Yeah, and it's really difficult.
So if the children or the young people don't have someone to look up to who looks like them, that is already a barrier.
Yeah.
How will they be thinking about going into that industry if they don't see someone already there before them?
Yeah, there's that quote, isn't there, about you can't be what you can't see, and I find that interesting, and I kind of resonate with that personally in different ways. But cool, that's great, thank you so much. So our second question is, what one thing do you think every local business could do to positively address diversity issues? And this came from one of our followers on Twitter.
Yeah. What thing people can do or businesses can do? Opening the doors, giving a chance to everyone. And don't consider it as if it's a favor you're doing.
Okay.
Because that element comes in. Oh, I'm doing you a favor. No. When you start feeling as if you're doing someone a favor, you're not helping out. Because when you do a favor, you're expecting a return. But if you're looking at having a better world, a better tomorrow, where it's inclusive, then when you open your door, you're not opening it because it's a favor, but because it's a need. So that we don't fall in this criteria again where we are, like where we are currently, when saying there is imbalance, when you have a study coming out to demonstrating that disparity within the society. It's not a good feeling. And we don't want this system or this same challenge to be going on in the next 10 years, where you're going to have a conclusion saying the UK society is not fair or is not, how can I say, equal. There is inequalities. We're trying to bridge those gaps so that we can have an equal society in the next 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. That's a really good insight for us all to have.
Yeah.
Our third and final question. So the British Bank's Entrepreneurship and Diversity Report, which was recently released, found what they called persistent disparities across lots of different demographics, so gender, location, and particularly ethnicity. For example, Black, Asian, and minority ethnic business owners are less likely to report profit than white business owners, which I'm sure you know, some of our watchers may not. What can banks do to better address these disparities? I know you touched on this briefly in your first question.
Well, it's about looking at their system, how it works. And the one I always put first of all is this track record.
Yeah. Okay.
When you put as a safety for the bank to look at saying, for you to be able to access the fund, you need to have a history of banking with us or with the system itself, because the bank, when any bank you can name, if they put in the system, it's nationally, they have this database from the national bank, which hold information all of us. Right. So that track record already have inequity or disparity into that. My track record is different for someone who's been here. And secondly, you're talking about guarantors. First generation, my guarantor cannot be my neighbor. He does not know me enough. I don't have an uncle live here, or
No.
my brother, or who has been doing well, who can guarantee that I'll be able to repay the bank. So we're not on the fair foot starting. And it goes back again now, even on the startup loans, what they give as a loan to start a business. For you to be able to acquire that startup loan, there is certain criteria, and those criteria are not fair or are not balanced, so that they'll be supporting especially individuals from the BME communities. So there's that history. It's not looked into. That the bank should be looking at that way. Start thinking of what's the history, how this individual, and looking at what is the intention, where are they going, what is the purpose. So if you look, for example, at the report with this survey which was done, you'll find high percentage of individuals from the BME community are in the startup. They want to start their business, but the mortality rate is higher, means those who succeed, it's not as many. Also, the turnover is lower, 25,000 below. Because of what? I was explaining, like, for example, the role models. I'm looking at the one who has a corner shop, or a barber shop, or an industry which is just on that low turnover. Those are my role models. I don't see higher levels. So there's that, like, how many bankers do we know from the BME community? How many bankers have you seen on the television from the BME community? Or bankers, not only traders are working in there, but owning those banks. So banks have to do quite a lot to play a role in that. It's the whole, only bank, but the whole financial industry.
Absolutely. That's really brilliant to hear, because it's something that I personally, and I know the rest of the Southwest Mutual community and organisation, is really keen to discuss and to develop and to keep trying to do better. So yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Jabo. It's been a really interesting chat. Where can people get in touch with you or find out about what you're doing? Is LinkedIn the best place?
Yes, thank you very much, Rebecca, for having us here and for these questions. And it's great to see, like Southwest Mutual pushing this agenda and taking the lead and talking about it. I didn't see any other banks coming forth and say, can we have a conversation and talk around it? Yeah. So this is those are conversations we need. Thank you for having us. So people can get in touch with us through Diversity Business Incubator. You can see at the back there. Our website is there, dbi.org.uk, but mainly our social medias. So if you look at Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all information are there. And all our activities, what we do, like for example, for the COVID time, this period where we're in lockdown, we're hosting every Thursday evening an open mic and an open time on Zoom, so people can come and have a conversation, tell what's happening. But we focus especially around the debt, financial challenges, because once you start going into these financial struggles, it creates more disparity within the society, health-wise, educational-wise, technology-wise, even financially-wise. So you start making mistakes which are not going to allow you to access the finance system. You can never, you're reaching a level you cannot even get a mortgage. So yes, so we do a lot of activities on social media. You can find us.
Great, thank you so much, Jabo. And yeah, we'll catch you.
It's a pleasure.
Cheers.
And good luck with your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jabo.
Thank you.